Hi, hello, welcome to Devon Monk's Works and Worlds. We are on Monday Monk 107, 108. Missed a week last week, so now, yeah, I have no idea where we are. We're not up to 1010 yet, I don't think. So, welcome here. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me. I really appreciate you stopping by. I thought about switching things up, and I don't have enough brain to be that clever today, so I'm just going to do what I always do. I'm going to talk about how writing is going, how knitting is going, and how Monkland in general is going. So, how is writing going? It is going really well. Here's the cool news. I got Nursery Crimes Revised. It is its own standalone book. It's at my copy editor right now. She said it's very clean, which means the copy edit should go pretty quick. And then I'll be able to insert all the changes that need to be done, give it one last little polish, go through proofreads to make sure that I get out as many typos as possible. The truth is, I'm never going to get out all the typos, but as many as I can. And then I'm going to release that book. So, Nursery Crimes, I wasn't even sure if I was going to publish it, is a fairy tale, fantasy, detective, noir, funny, full of puns, full of ridiculous stuff, mystery story, and set in the town of Las Fables, like Las Vegas, but it's Las Fables, and with our Detective Peter, who's trying to solve the crimes of the town. So, what's fun about this story is that I first wrote 250 words of this story, a tiny little story that is a part of chapter one. I had 250 words for my local writing group. It was called SWAP, Salem Writers and Publishers. And we had little 250 word contests, and different people would read the contest submissions out loud in front of the group. Everybody would vote whose they liked, and I think if I remember right, you won stamp money. It was a little bit of cash, like just a few bucks that the group would put into a hat, and you could buy a couple of stamps to send out your manuscripts. That was the whole idea. And because back in those days, you sent out your manuscripts in the mail, and you had to put a stamp on a self-addressed stamped envelope so that you could get your rejection. So that you had to pay for your own rejection from the magazines and the anthologies. And I mean, sometimes they put a contract in there and it was an acceptance, but most of the time it was rejection. So anyway, this is where Nursery Crime started. And so I went on to sell that tiny little section of, I think I did. I can't remember. I think I did sell it to a magazine at one point. And then I wrote a couple more short stories in that world, and they're kind of connected, and those had their day in the sun, but now it's going to be a book. So that's I'm excited about it because this is a long time coming, and it's sort of where I got my first thumbs up from fellow writers that I could put a fun little story together in a very short amount of words, and it really encouraged me to keep going. And so to see the book out there, I don't know, it's a marker in my career, and I really love it. I'll let you know when it's available. It's not available yet. It's still in copy edits, but soon, I think next month, honestly. I already have the cover for it, so I just have to get it rolling. So I will let you know as that happens. So that's good news on the writing front. And then on the knitting front, how are things going in knitting land? I am not knitting still. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing to me because I basically put in some hours of knitting every week for just years and years and years. And especially when I was giving away the toys on my newsletter, I definitely had to put hours in. I'd take knitting if I was going on a car ride. I would take knitting if I was going to sit in a waiting room. I would take, like knitting came with me because knitting is time consuming. And when I spend all of my free time trying to get my writing done, and if not my writing, then all the admin stuff that goes into writing, like web page upkeep and covers and newsletters, and even like these things that go into it, they all take time too. So writing was always something. I mean that too, but knitting was always something that I kind of tucked into every spare moment I could, and I'm just not knitting right now. And I think I still need the break. I think I'm still enjoying it, although I'm kind of looking at some toys and going like, oh, I need to make that. So I'll probably get back to it soon. I am instead still crocheting. I am still very bad at it. I am now at the point in this duster that I'm making for myself to wear around, hopefully this hippy dippy thing, where I have to do the sleeves. And that has to do with creating a chain stitch, and then you do some double crochets. See, at least I've got the lingo going on here. But you've got to double crochet into these single chains, and I'm having kind of a hard time with that. I'll get it figured out. I'm going to work on it probably tonight. But I'm doing that much more casually than I ever have my knitting, and I'm just sort of enjoying the process. And I will show you the garment, how far I've gotten along on it, maybe in next Monday month. But I think I'm going to get it done soon, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, knitting, not really going anywhere, crocheting, going somewhere. And then how are things in Monkland? Things in Monkland are good. I have begun the dig out of the front bed that is going to become a simplified front bed with rocks or something in it instead of things that I have to weed. So I have dug up all of the daffodils. Actually, I think they're narcissus. The white ones with the yellow center. They look like daffodils, but they're white with the yellow. And then I dug up I don't know what they are. They're like a double daffodil. Like each little stem, instead of having just a yellow daffodil on it, has like 2 yellow daffodils on it or 3. I dug those up. So I've got, for the narcissus, I've got an entire laundry basket full of bulbs, and it probably weighs 20 or 25 pounds. Like, this is a lot of daffodil bulbs. I haven't thinned them out in all the years that they've been in the ground, so I have many. And what's really great is I'm going to keep them, let them dry out, until I'm ready to plant them again. And then if I have extras, I'll either put them all around in the yard or I will give them away and other people can have some daffodils, and that's pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. I got those all dug up on Sunday in the rain. And then I bit the bullet and I cut 2 of the roses down, and I'm going to dig them out, and they just have to go. And I feel this is a really hard thing for me. And I think it's because the roses remind me of my mother and my grandmother. And I love the roses for that. Just those flowers remind me of those 2 people, and they're, near and dear to my heart and all that stuff. But the roses themselves aren't working for me. Like, I think I could get in like even smaller bushes like tea roses and that kind of thing and still enjoy roses, or a few strategically placed roses, but just in this bed they don't work, and I don't have another spot that I want to put them in the yard. It's one of those things, like when you declutter your house, you're like, this is a memory thing for me. These roses are a memory thing for me in this yard. But just like the memory things that you're like, I don't really need this anymore in your decluttering, I still have the memory of my mom and my grandmother. I don't need rose bushes to remind me about them. And honestly, as time goes forward, as my kids grow up and as their kids grow up and however things go, these rose bushes won't mean anything to them, other than they'll be the ones that they remember their mom saying she hated to weed around them all the time. So it's good to let them go. And I know I'm going to feel great once it's done. It's just the doing of it, those moments when you just think, am I doing the right thing? But I know I am, because this bed is just, I went out there and it's already full of weeds again. And I just weeded it like a month and a half ago. And I just can't spend all that time of my life pulling weeds. It's okay to let the roses go, put in some different flowers, even if they're different roses, that's fine. Put in flowers that I can keep and that are easy to keep there, and otherwise put rocks, on that whole bed. And I'm really looking forward to the change. It's just starting it is always a little, it causes a little bit of hesitancy in me starting big projects. I felt the same way when we remodeled the basement of our house. We went from having our house how I had always known it for years and years to totally changing how the house kind of functions. We have a full apartment in the basement. And so it's a whole different feeling, right? Love it. Glad we did it. But at the time, there were many moments where I was like, oh man, are we doing the right thing? Do we really want to do this? Yes. Yes, I don't regret it a bit. So if you're teetering on the edge of a decision, like, should I really be doing this? Maybe I'm getting rid of stuff I shouldn't get rid of. Maybe I'm taking a step that I'm afraid I'm going to lose a memory of something. You won't. You will always have the memory. You will always have the enjoyment that you had with that thing. You don't need that thing to remind you of the things you love, or the people you love, or the places you love. And have strength. Have strength. I believe in you. If you're out there decluttering or doing any kind of scary first thing, you got this. Just take a deep breath. I know you got this. Okay. Well, so that's the yard that we're working on. What else? Oh, we took a very quick trip up to, just for a few hours in the day, up to Cape Lookout again. My husband and I had a moment to breathe on Saturday and we're like, let's do it. And so we hopped in our electric car and popped up there and got out on the beach, and the wind was going like a million miles an hour and the rain was like a fire hose and we were drenched. And it was cold, but it was also a lovely walk for how much we did walk on the beach. And then we walked up in the forested area a bit too, which was a break from the rain. And then kind of wandered around the campground in the day use area to take a look at that space. It's such a nice little camping space. And then we stopped off for a lunch, which was lovely, at Schooner's Restaurant and Lounge, I think it's called. Totally recommend the crab mac and cheese. And yeah, just had kind of a deep breath, a little break, because March was bonkers busy and April was also bonkers busy. And so we found ourselves in this tiny little lull, and we're like, yeah, we're taking it. We're blowing out of Dodge, and we did. And I don't regret it. It was really nice, actually. So, yeah, so things are going good in Monkland. I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So someone contacted me on Facebook. I have no problem with this. That's part of why I have a Facebook page there. I have a professional authors page there where if people want to contact me there, that's totally cool. And this person, I haven't, this sounds bad. I've been so busy, I haven't stopped to read her entire message. I'm terrible about that. I'll get to it. I just haven't yet. But I noticed that part of what her message said, because there's like a little preview I can see, was something about how she was having a hard time telling which of my books were out and which ones were not out and how to buy them. And she couldn't find what order to read them in. And she seemed really frustrated. So, my first reaction was, well, you could go to any online retailer and they will have my series in order, and you can see what's available and not available. You can Google this. You can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Kobo or Apple or any of these places, and you can find this information. But then I thought, I see what she's saying. It's sort of frustrating if you have an author that you want to follow and you want all the information in one easy space that's reliable or something that you feel is trustworthy. And she was having a hard time with my webpage. So I went and looked at my webpage through her perspective, or through the perspective of the tiny bit of her message that I read. And so I looked it over and I realized she's right. It was difficult I had tried to simplify the web page so that it was really easy to find my stuff. But in doing so, I think I complicated it. And so I contacted the gal who helps me with the web page and asked her to do some work with me on it to make it more intuitive for finding what books I have out and what books are available at what places. Now, so we did that. We updated the pages, we updated the books, we updated the information. I went in myself and updated the printable buy list so that you know what you can buy, all the titles in the series, how they connect to each other, all that stuff. And that's like you can download it and print it if you want, or just carry it on your phone to any place, and you've got the info. That being said, the other problem that she's having with my books, which she's right, is some of my books are not in print right now. So if you've been following along with my career for a while, or even if you haven't, my novels were all published by Penguin Random House. And at the time it was Penguin, and under the imprint of Rock Books. And that was wonderful. It was terrific. It was a great start to my career. I learned so much. I was writing 3 books a year, I think, which is a fast pace for me. It's actually too fast a pace for me, I found out. I can do it sometimes, but not constantly. And it started me into urban fantasy when that genre was hot. And it was wonderful. It was really great. That being said, I think my first book came out in 2008. And it began my urban fantasy career. It began with the Allie Beckstrom books. There's 9 books in that series. And then I went on, while I was writing the Allie Beckstrom series, I did the steampunk series, which was The Age of Steam, 3 books in that series right now. And then while I was finishing off, I think the Allie Beckstrom series, I did a tie-in with the Broken Magic series, which are now out right now. There's 4 books in that series. And also somewhere during that time, I wrote the House of Mortal books, which is a trilogy. Since it's been so many years since those original traditionally published books have been out, there's a thing that a lot of authors can do, and I definitely am doing it, which is request for my rights back on the books, because my publisher, the traditional publisher, bought the right to carry the books, to publish the books up until a certain amount of sales basically, or amount of sales per year. And at that time, if it hits that limit, then the author is able to ask for that back, for the printing rights back and the ebook rights back. And my publisher has been really great about that and has reverted those rights back to me. So I have the rights back. I got the rights back for the Broken Magic series, which is the Shaman Tarek series, which is why I was so excited that I could re-release 1, which I totally rewrote and cleaned up, and 2, which I totally rewrote and cleaned up. And then I also re-released book 3, which I had previously written and published myself. And then I wrote a new book, book 4, which I published myself. So I have all the rights to those books, which as an author, I really love. Now, it doesn't mean I wouldn't ever work with a publisher again, but I really enjoy having that all in my hands because I can make decisions on the books myself without having to go through like committees and corporations and sign-offs and all this stuff. It's me. I get to make the decisions, with trusted advisors and those sorts of things. But really, I get to make the decisions on where the books are going, when they're coming out, just how they are accessed. And there are some advantages to traditional publishing. One of them that still really stands out is bookstore availability. It is easier to get into bookstores with traditional publishing than it is if you publish it yourself, indie publishing. So not to be boring about this, but what the person who is looking at my webpage and getting confused was running into also is that I have the rights back to the Age of Steam books and I haven't re-released them yet. So they're basically not available anywhere. They're on my webpage because I wrote them and I just wanted to make sure people knew, yeah, those were my books. But I don't think I want to release the 3 until I have a 4th to add to it because I think that would be cool. So, and then same with the House of Mortal books. I have 2 of those books back and just received the rights back for the 3rd book in that series, which means I'm going to re-release those books. So right now they aren't really available online, or they kind of are in print because traditional publisher has the right to sell the printed books out of their warehouse that they printed. It's long and complicated. I'm not going to go there. But what ends up happening is there are some of my books that basically aren't available because I'm in the midst of getting rights back. So I wanted to make sure that that was very clear on my webpage, and I went ahead and went in there and made notes of that. Like, yes, this is a finished series. You can't get it right now because I'm trying to get rights back, or I'm getting rights back, or I've gotten rights back and I need to re-release it. Those kinds of things. Or yes, this is a full series. You can get it everywhere. It's totally all printed, and you can get every print, audio, everything. Go. So I spent some time trying to do that on the webpage. I hope it will help out. I'm also going to write a quick blog post about this because when I was talking to my friend, she's like, you need to let people know what's going on with your books. And I'm like, well, I have. But then I thought, well, maybe I haven't. So now I have here, and I will in other places. But basically, I just want to say, if you're looking for one of my titles, hang in there. If it's one that has come out before, like through traditional publishing, it will be coming out again. I'm just fitting that all into my schedule of also writing new books. So hang in there with me, people. We're going to get all the books out there. They'll all be available again if they aren't right now. And some of them are right now. Most of them are right now, really. There's only a couple of my titles that you can't get a hold of, but you will be able to. So hang in there, my people. We will get through this. And in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.